So if you're like me, you might be thinking this is pretty cool. I really like this idea, but I'm not sure where to start. Well, I'm going to walk you through where I started and how I started to build my game. First, I picked a subject area that I just wasn't super excited about, that I didn't like, I didn't care for, the way that I was currently teaching it. And for me, that was my Michigan studies. It's my social studies um, area of teaching. I'm third grade, so I teach several different areas, but the social studies was just kind of boring. I've always tried to add different pieces to it to make it a little more exciting, but that's still, I've just never been a big fan. Then I started thinking, what is it that I need to teach? And for that, I just went to the content expectations. We're still using the GLICs for this, but this is just where I started. I went in and I looked at what are they expected to know for third grade. And the very first unit of study for us is geography. So what I did is I took a look at, okay, if geography is what the first standard is, what is it that they need to know? And the first one was using cardinal directions. This is something that I've noticed in the past that the kids just don't really get. We didn't spend a ton of time on it. They didn't really understand it. So I thought, well, this will be the first stage. The world will be geography. That'll be the big overarching thing that I'm trying to teach. And then each one of these um, standards will either be a stage, or if I can get them into a level, I will do so. When I looked at cardinal directions, I thought, well, I feel like that needs a few levels to teach all that I need to about that. So again, I created my stage. I named it something fun, Continental Lost Directions. It's all about directions. Cheesy, I know. And then within that, I started breaking down what the students need to know about cardinal directions by the end. And first, they just need to know basics. What are they? How do they sit on the earth? Where is actual north? Where is south? Then we started to build. How do we use them as descriptive words? How do we use them to find our way? And finally, how do we kind of put that all together with these last two levels? And if we go back to what the standard was, that's what they're asking us to do. They want us to use a cardinal direction to describe the relative location and characteristics of major places. They want us to describe where you're going and what you're doing with these cardinal directions. And you can see that the directions for the boss battle are almost exactly what it says there. It's a little bit more student friendly, but it says submit something that shows you are able to describe where things are located using cardinal directions. It's very open ended, and I have it that way on purpose so that student creativity shines through. If I tell them too much, then I'm going to be telling them exactly what they need to do. I want them to try and figure it out themselves and allow them to be creative with it. However, I still want them to demonstrate for me that they are able to do this standard. Now, when it came to the next few standards, I was able to wrap a few of them together. And as you look at your standards, you may find that as well. So when we look at stage 2 in Geography, I actually have a few different standards in it. I have the maps, I have the physical and human characteristics, as well as the regions, all wrapped into kind of one thing, because I felt that they all related and that I could get them to show me in one big boss battle all of those pieces and their knowledge of those pieces. And again, you can see that that finishes off this standard and it starts to get into the places and regions. For me, this was a real easy place for me to start as far as um, what do I need to have in my game? What do the levels need to be? What do the stages need to be? The worlds are obviously going to be the big overarching units. The stages are going to be the bigger standards that you're trying to teach. And then as I look at it, the levels are how would you go about teaching those standards? What sort of pieces would you need to tell the students in order for them to get what that standard is?